Disclaimer: this is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan R. Deans, to use this an educational material.
Belief system and spirituality.
I'm here to discuss the belief system and spirituality. Indigenous belief system and spirituality are deeply rooted in the connection between people, the land, and the cosmos. They often involve a holistic worldview where everything is interconnected and interdependent. Respect for nature, ancestor, and the spiritual realm is central to the indigenous spirituality. Ceremonies, rituals, and oral traditions play significant roles in passing down knowledge, teachings, and culture practices. These belief systems vary greatly among different indigenous cultures but commonly emphasizes harmony, balance, and reciprocity with the natural world. So, one example of Filipino indigenous belief system and spirituality is the animistic beliefs of the Igorot people of the Cordillera region in the northern Philippines. Central to Igorot spirituality is the belief in anitos, which are spirits that inhabit natural elements such as mountains, rivers, and forests, as well as ancestors who continue to watch over and guide the living. Offerings and rituals are conducted to honor and appease these spirits, seeking their protection, blessings, and favor. The practice of pagdiwata involves ceremonies and rituals to communicate with the Anito and seek their guidance in matters such as agriculture, health, and community affairs. These ceremonies often involve feasting, dancing, and chanting to invoke the spirits. The Igorot also have a strong connection to the land, viewing as a sacred and embodied with spiritual significance. Rituals are performed to ensure the fertility of the soil and bountiful harvest and ecological balance. Furthermore, storytelling plays a vital role in passing down knowledge, wisdom, and cultural values from one generation to the next. Preserving the traditions and spirituality of the Igorot people. So overall, Igorot spirituality emphasizes respect for nature, ancestors, and community, as well as maintaining harmony and balance in the cosmos.
The indigenous languages and scripts. The Philippines is a home to a diverse array of indigenous languages, each with its own unique script or writing system. These languages and scripts are a testament to the rich cultural heritage of the country and integral to the identities of indigenous communities across the archipelago. The linguistic diversity of the Philippines is a testament to centuries of interaction, migration, and cultural exchange among its indigenous peoples, resulting in a mosaic of languages that contribute to the country's vibrant cultural tapestry. Some of the major indigenous languages include Tagalog, the national language of the Philippines and the basis for Filipino, the official language of the country. Next is the Cebuano, widely spoken in the Visayas and Mindanao regions. It is one of the most widely spoken in languages in the Philippines. Next is the Ilocano, predominantly spoken in the Ilocos region in the northern Luzon. Next is the Waray, spoken in the eastern Visayas region. Next is the Kapampangan, native to the central Luzon region, particularly in Pampanga. These languages, along with many others, reflect the diverse cultural and linguistic heritage of the Filipino people. Indigenous script of the Philippines are integral parts of its cultural identity. While the Latin alphabet is widely used for writing in the Philippines today, several indigenous scripts have been used historically. Some of the notable indigenous scripts include: first is the Baybayin, also known as Alipata. Baybayin is an ancient script used before the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. It was primarily used to write Tagalog, but it was also adapted to write other languages such as Ilocano and Kapampangan. Next is the Hanuno Mangyan, used by the Mangyan people of Mindoro. Hanuno script is a syllabic and is traditionally written on a bamboo with a knife or a pointed object. Next is the Kulitan, a script used by the Kapampangan people. Kulitan is primarily used for decorative purposes and is experiencing a revival in recent years. Next is the Buhid, another Mangyan script. Buhid is used by the Buhid Mangyan community in Mindoro.
Indigenous traditional arts and craft. So, indigenous traditional arts and craft encompass a wide range of creative expressions that are deeply rooted in the cultural, spiritual, and social heritage of indigenous peoples around the world. These art forms are deeply rooted in tradition, often passed down through generations and closely tied to the natural environment and community life. So examples of traditional arts and craft. First, visual arts. So in visual arts, we have paintings and drawings. So many indigenous cultures have a rich tradition of painting and drawing, often using natural pigments and materials. These artworks may depict scenes from mythology, daily life, and spiritual beliefs. Next, example of visual arts is pottery and ceramics. So indigenous pottery and ceramics vary widely in style and technique, reflecting regional differences and cultural differences. These works often serve both utilitarian and ceremonial purposes. Number two, sculpture and carving. So, the example of sculpture and carving is first, wood carving. Many indigenous cultures excel in wood carving, creating sculptures, masks, totems, and other objects with intricate designs and symbolism. Next is the stone carving. Stone carving is another common practice among indigenous peoples, producing sculptures, statues, and monuments that often carry spiritual and cultural significance. Third example is basketry and weaving. So basketry means indigenous communities worldwide have developed sophisticated basket weaving techniques, creating baskets for storage, transportation, and ceremonial use. Basket designs vary greatly among different cultures and regions. Weaving. Traditional weaving techniques are prevalent in indigenous cultures, producing textiles, rugs, blankets, and clothing with distinctive patterns and designs. So number four, jewelry and beadwork. So jewelry, indigenous artisans craft jewelry using a variety of materials including silver, gold, shells, breads, and semi-precious stones. Jewelry often carries symbolic meanings and serves as adornment and cultural expression. Then we have bedwork. Bedwork is a significant art form in many indigenous cultures with intricate bed designs, clothing, accessories, ceremonial regalia, and decorative items. So the fifth example is performance arts. So in performance arts, we have dance and rituals. So indigenous communities often incorporate dance, music, and storytelling into their rituals, ceremonies, and cultural celebrations. These performances convey oral traditions, spiritual beliefs, and community cohesion. Then next, we have music and instrument making. So, indigenous peoples create a wide variety of musical instruments such as drums, flutes, rattles, and string instruments using natural materials like wood, animal hides, and plant fibers. Then our last sixth and last example is body art and tattoos. So in body art and tattoos, we have body painting. So body painting is a common practice in many indigenous cultures, used for ceremonial, spiritual, and decorative purposes. Natural pigments are often applied to the skin of intricate designs and patterns. Next, we have the tattoos. Tattoos have been part of the indigenous cultures for centuries, serving as markers of identity, status, and cultural affiliation. Traditional tattooing techniques and designs vary among different indigenous groups. So these examples represent a glimpse of the rich and diverse world of indigenous traditional arts and crafts, which continue to thrive and evolve as vital expressions of indigenous cultural heritage and identity. Indigenous rituals and ceremonies. So indigenous rituals and ceremonies plays an important role in spiritual, cultural, and social fabric of indigenous communities around the world. These rituals and ceremonies are deeply rooted in traditional beliefs, customs, and practices often passed down through generations. They serve various purposes, including honoring ancestors, communing with natural world, marking life with transitions, and maintaining social cohesion. So examples are first, sacred rituals and ceremonies. So indigenous communities conduct sacred rituals and ceremonies to conduct with the spiritual realm, honor deities, ancestors, and the natural world, and seeking guidance, protection, and healing. These ceremonies often involve prayer, chanting, singing, drumming, dancing, and offering of food, tobacco, or other sacred items. So examples of sacred rituals and ceremonies is sun dance. So it is a ritual practiced by many Native American tribes to honor the sun, pray for renewal, and seek spiritual guidance. So the second example is sweat lodge ceremony. So a purification ritual involving sweat bath, herbs, and prayer used by various indigenous cultures for spiritual cleansing and healing. So the second examples is life cycle ceremonies. So indigenous communities mark significant life events such as birth, puberty, marriage, and death with ceremonies that symbolize transitions, communal support. These ceremonies often involve rituals, prayers, songs, and communal feasting. So an example of life cycle ceremonies are first, coming of age ceremonies. So rituals to make transition from childhood to adulthood often involving initiation rites, teachings, and community recognition. Then next we have the wedding ceremonies. So rituals to celebrate marriage, unite families, and bless the couple's union, often incorporating cultural traditions, dances, and symbolic exchange. So third example of the rituals and ceremonies is harvest and seasonal ceremonies. So many indigenous cultures conduct ceremonies to celebrate the harvest, honor seasonal changes, and give thanks to the land, plants, and animals that sustain life. These ceremonies often involve communal feasting, dance, music, and storytelling. So example of these are corn dance. So a ceremony practiced by various Native American tribes to celebrate the harvest of corn, symbolizing gratitude, abundance, and reciprocity with the land.
Pre-colonial. Pre-colonial societies refer to the period before the arrival and establishment of European colonial powers in various parts of the world. These societies were characterized by diverse cultures, political structures, economies, and social systems. Pre-colonial societies had rich histories, diverse tradition, and complex social structure. The impact of European colonization significantly altered the dynamics of these societies, often leading to cultural disruption, economic exploitation, and changes in governance structures. Understanding pre colonial societies is crucial for comprehending the complexities of world history and the legacies that continue to shape contemporary societies. Example of pre-colonial in the Philippines. Pre-colonial literally pieces transferred in traditional narratives, speeches, and songs include Tigmo in Cebuano, Bugtong in Tagalog, Patotot Don in Bicol, and Paktakon in Olongo. Baybayin to spell was the pre-colonial writing system in the Philippines. Some modern scripts in the Philippines descended from Baybayin. The Filipino had three-class social structure consisting of the Maginoo, which is royalty, the Maharlika, the warrior nobility, and the Alipin, which is serfs and slaves. Only those who could claim royal descent were included in the Maginoo class. Indigenous resistance and revolts. Indigenous resistance and revolts have been significant throughout history as communities sought to protect their lands, culture, and autonomy from external forces, often including colonial powers. Instances represent only a fraction of many struggles indigenous people have faced throughout history. Indigenous resistance continue to be an ongoing struggle in various parts of the world as communities strive to protect their rights, culture, and traditional territories. During the Spanish colonial period in Philippines, 1565 to 1898, there were several revolts against the Spanish colonial government by indigenous Moro, Lumad, Indios, Chinese Sanglis, and Insulares Filipino of full or near full Spanish descent, often with the goal of re-establishing the rights and powers that had traditionally belonged to Lumad communities, Maginoo Raja, and Moro Datos. Some revolts stemmed from land problems, and this was largely the cause of the insurrections and transpired in the agricultural provinces of Batangas, Bulacan, Cavite, and Laguna. Natives are also rebelled over unjust taxation and forced labor. Most of these revolts failed because the majority of the local population sided up with the well-armed colonial government and to fight with Spanish as foot soldiers to put down the revolts. Next one is Igorot Revolt in 1601. By order of the Governor General Francisco D. Tilo de Guzman, an expedition was sent to the Cordillera region for religious conversion purposes with the aid of Padre Esteban Marin. Marin, the curate of Ilocos at that time, tried initially to convince the Igorot to convert peacefully to Catholicism. Marin allegedly even tried to create his own dictionary in the Igorot language to advance this cause. The Igorots, however, killed Marin and the Governor-General sent Lieutenant Mateo de Aranda with Spanish and Filipino foot soldiers. The combined force would be defeated although the Spanish would continue using harsher tactics including slavery to force the Igorots to submit. Nonetheless, the Igorots would continue to defeat Spanish expedition in the years 1608, 1635, and 1663.
Going to talk about the ancestral domain system and land tenure system. So the ancestral domain system is a legal framework that acknowledges and protects the rights of indigenous people to their traditional lands and resources. It acknowledges the historical and cultural connection of indigenous communities to these lands, grants them legal titles of ownership rights, allows for autonomous governance, emphasizes conservation and sustainable development, and ensure free, prior, and informed consent. for projects affecting their lands. These systems are often developed in response to historical injustice, land disposition, and marginalization of indigenous communities, aiming to rectify past wrongs and promote social justice. So, let's talk about the land tenure system. These systems are the legal and social agreements for the ownership, use, and transfer of land within a society. They can be private, public, common, communal, hybrid, indigenous, land reform, or a combination of these. Common types include freehold, leasehold, public commons, hybrid, indigenous, land trust, and ancestral domain. Public systems involve crown or state land. Commons are customary land tenure. Hybrid system combine communal and individual rights, while land trusts are non-profit organizations or governments. Indigenous land tenure recognizes the historical and cultural ties of indigenous communities to specific lands. Land reform systems involve land redistribution and formalization to address social and economic inequalities. The choice of a system is influenced by historical, cultural, and economic factors, as well as the need for social justice, sustainable development, and equitable access for land resource.
So, good day everyone. My topic is environmental stewardship and sustainability. So, environmental stewardship and sustainability mean taking care of a nature so it stays healthy for us and future generations. It's like being responsible gardeners for the planet. We can make sure we use resources wisely and don't waste them. Stewardship also means protecting wildlife and natural habitats like forests and oceans. Sustainability is about finding ways to meet our needs without using up all Earth's resources. We want to make sure there's enough for everyone, now and the future. It's like saving some cookies for later instead of eating them all at once. We can practice environmental stewardship by recycling things like paper, plastic, and glass to reduce waste. Another way is by conserving energy, like turning off lights when we're not using them, planting trees, and taking care of green spaces. Also helps to protect the environment. Using eco-friendly products and supporting companies that are mindful of their environment's impact is important too. Stewardship means speaking up for the planet and advocating for policies that protect it. By working together, we can create a healthier, more sustainability world for all living things. Sustainability is about balancing our needs with the needs of the environment. It's like finding a fair way to share a cake so everyone gets a slice. We can achieve sustainability by using renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. Conserving water and reducing pollution are also crucial for sustainability. Sustainable agriculture practices help preserve soil health and protect ecosystem. Supporting local businesses and buying products with minimal packaging can reduce our ecological footprints. Education and awareness about sustainability are key to inspire positive change in communities. By embracing sustainable lifestyle, we can ensure a bright future for the planet and its inhabitants.
Good day, everyone. I'm Engine Cadet Cadadalia Luigi B. My topic is challenges in land dispute and exploitation. Land disputes. One is resource extractions. Exploitative practice such as deforestation, mining, and over-extraction of natural resources often lead to environmental degradation. Two, land grabbing. Powerful entities or governance acquiring land without proper consultation or consent from local communities, displacing them and disrupting traditional way of life. 3. Indigenous right violation. Indigenous communities often face violation of their land rights, impacting their cultural identity and livelihoods. 4. Urbanization and infrastructure development. Rapid urbanization and infrastructure project can result in displacement of communities, loss of agricultural land and fragmentation of ecosystem. 5. Climate change impact. Climate change impact exacerbates land-related challenges, leading to a change in weather patterns, increasing frequency of natural disaster, and threats to agriculture. 6. Weak legal protection. Inadequate legal frameworks and enforcement mechanism contributes to land exploitation and dispute, leaving communities vulnerable. 7. Corruption and illicit activities. Corruption within regulator bodies can enable illegal land acquisition and exploitation for activity like logging or poaching. 8. Lack of community involvement. Insufficient consultation with local communities and decision-making process related to a land use and resources management. 9. Population pressure. Growing populations can strain available resources, leading to overexploitation of land and competition for limited resources. 10. Global demand for commodities. International demand for commodities drive exploitation as a local resources are extracted from export, often without adequate benefit to local communities.
Today, sir, I am Giovanni Paradero and I am going to explain Indigenous Ecological Knowledge, or IKE, refers to the profound understanding that indigenous communities have developed over centuries through close interaction with their local environments. This knowledge encompasses a holistic perspective on the relationships between ecosystem, species, and human societies. It includes the traditional practices, beliefs, customs, and wisdom passed down through generations. Indigenous people observe and interpret natural phenomena such as weather patterns, plant and animal behavior, and ecological change to inform their sustainable resource management strategies and cultural practices. One key aspect of IKE is its emphasis on sustainability and harmony with nature. Indigenous communities have often demonstrated an intricate understanding of ecosystem dynamics and have developed practices that ensure the long-term health and resilience of their environments. These practices include rotational farming, selective harvesting, and habitat protection measures, all of which contribute to biodiversity conservation and ecosystem stability. Furthermore, IKE holds significant value beyond its ecological implications. It plays a vital role in maintaining cultural identity, fostering community cohesion, and preserving traditional knowledge systems. As indigenous people face ongoing challenges from environmental degradation, climate change, and cultural erosion. So that's all, sir. Thank you.